Hi everyone, I just wanted to go over our Literature Circle project one more time just to clarify and to clear up any questions. First of all of the information you can find is in the Week 6 tab. It is due in Week 6. We're now at the start of Week 5. This is not an assignment you want to wait until Week 6. It takes a while, so if you have some extra time this week, if you have a couple days off, I would really start spending some time and putting this together. It becomes a bear if you wait. So open up the assignment tab in week 6, and that's where you'll find everything for the Literature Circle project. All right, scroll down, and this is where it is. All of the documents you need are right here. So start with the first one because that one explains the entire assignment. So you open that up. If you haven't already, you should review this information, these resources. You need to have a good understanding of what literature circles are and how they're used before you attempt this, before you attempt to make one. One of the questions I've had is, why are we working with a partner? I don't understand in what capacity we're working as partners. And so I'll explain. The partner work is very limited. The only thing you do with a partner is choose a book, basically. You're choosing 4 books together. The reason I have you do this is because literature circles usually include around 4 books, and then groups work on those books simultaneously. So if you can have lesson plans and ideas and activities for 2 books out of the 4 in your literature circle, then that's kind of cool. So at the end of this assignment, you'll contact your partner again and share the work that you did and just say, oh, here are my lesson plans and my activity, and your partner will do the same. And then hopefully you can use these down the road in real life in your classrooms. But the assignment itself, you do all by yourself. So you are all at the point where you each have selected a book out of the 4 you submitted to me to read on your own. Okay, so you are reading it, and I asked you to divide your book into thirds. This was to make the work in the book a little bit more manageable. The other question I'm getting is about the literature circle sheets. I've asked you to complete them twice. I'm kind of going back on that. Remember, this is the first time we're doing this assignment. It's brand new. I created it this summer, so I'm still working out some of the kinks. And I don't like the fact that you have to fill them out twice. And I'm quite sure you don't like the fact that you have to fill them out twice. So why don't we change that and say you only need to fill them out once? So originally I said, read the first section, which is the first third, and complete each of the literature circle roll sheets based on the first part, and then do it again for the second third. You can decide when you want to fill those out. So remember, they're right here, lit circle roll sheets, right in the week 6. So you click on that, open it up, and this is what they look like. So you have to serve as each role that normally students would be assigned to. So normally in a classroom, you would assign a student to be a connector, assign a student to be a word wizard, the question discussion director, the literary luminary, whoa, try saying that, and the summarizer. But because we are not in a classroom and we're not meeting on ground, you're going to fill out all of them just to kind of get that experience and understand what each role does. And then you're better able to explain it to your own students in the classroom. So I think filling these out one time is sufficient. So if you're listening to this video, you will know that you only have to fill them once. And if you didn't listen to this video, you will still think that you have to fill them out twice. All right, so the next part are the lesson plans. Once you read like the first third of the book, now is the time to write out your first lesson plan. The first lesson plan should be vocabulary. So find the vocabulary standards. I should have had those open for you, huh? Let me see if I can find them real fast. vocabulary standards are in the Common Core. I'm trying to remember which section. So you go below the writing. Language standards. You go below the writing, below the speaking and listening, and find these language standards. Remember, you're doing grades 3 through 5. So you find those standards. So these are conventions. We don't need that. All right, and now we start getting into the vocabulary standards. So right here, this knowledge of language, use knowledge of language and its conventions when writing, speaking, reading, or listening. Determine or clarify the meaning of an unknown word or multiple meaning words or phrases based on grade 3 reading content or grade 4 or grade 5. You could do figurative language, word relationships, nuances in word meanings. That would be a lot of fun too. Greek and Latin affixes. So it really depends on what words you come up with in your book that you think are important. And come up with a vocabulary lesson that matches the standard. So remember, these are called language standards, and they're found under the writing, speaking, listening. They're kind of tricky to find. You'll use the lesson template provided. This is a very simple one that I created. All right, and then you're going to finish reading your book. And now you have a second lesson plan to do, and that's on comprehension. So your comprehension lesson should be based on the reading literature standards, which are the very first one, reading standards for literature. Those are the very first ones in the Common Core. Again, you're doing 3 through 5. There's all kinds. Major differences, compare and contrast point of view, making connections of a story, compare and contrast stories of similar years. This is informational text, so most of you, I think all of you actually have nonfiction or fiction. Refer to details, determine a theme, characters. So this is what you're focusing your second lesson on, your comprehension lesson. How are they understanding? What aspect of it do you want them to understand? So then you fill out your second lesson plan. So far now, you have read the first third of your book, you've done the vocabulary lesson plan, you've filled out the roll sheets, then you've finished the second third of your book, or you just finished your book now, and you wrote your comprehension lesson plan. Now the only other thing you need to do, let me get back to that, is come up with a culminating activity assessment. There are so many ways to assess their understanding of the novel. What do you want them to do? Should they reenact it with a play? Are they going to write a book report? Are they going to write a book review? An iMovie? I mean, there's so many things. Think of something to do at the end of the book where they can kind of demonstrate their knowledge of the entire book. And then you are turning in the 10 literature circle sheets, which are now what? They are now 5. So now you only have to do 5 of those literature circle sheets. I think it's more than 5 sheets, but there's 5 rolls. 2 lesson plans, your culminating activity, and this is helpful to put in the front. This is the cover sheet. Your name, the partner's name, the book theme, book selections, and the book that you read. Try to put everything in one document. I prefer not to have 5 or 6 different attachments. So put everything in one Word doc and submit that. Remember, just real quick, if you are creating that culminating activity or assessment, how are you going to grade it? So you should have some sort of rubric, scoring guide, something that you're going to use. So if they're going to make a book review, what are you going to use to assess that? And you also have a rubric here that shows what I will be using to grade this project. All right, so I hope that helps. Go through each of these documents and get working on it this week. If you have any questions, please email me.